You're looking for an in-depth, up-to-date review of Duckstarter, the launchpad that you have seen a lot about. Why? Because it was a big topic during the bull market. How's the project doing now though? Is it still interesting to get into this launchpad? Can you actually still make profit using this launchpad, and how does it work? So today I'm going to go into all of that. I'm very excited to talk about this because it has received so much hype, but there are some serious red flags to this launchpad that I don't see anyone covering at all. All I see is tutorials on how to get started, and don't worry, we'll also give a tutorial quickly on how to get started, but you have to know certain things before investing in Duckstarter. So that is what we're going to be discussing today. So stay tuned for that. Alright you guys, before we get started, I have a lot to share with you guys, a lot of things that I haven't seen in other tutorials, so we're going to get started with that right away. Before we do, please make sure to subscribe and of course like the video as well. Perform your own due diligence, as I'm no financial advisor, and without further ado, let's get into it. So Duckstarter is part of the umbrella company called DuckDAO. They have a reputation and one goal, and that is to incubate projects and give them a spot on the blockchain. They help companies grow on the blockchain, and they have their own token. One big part of their ecosystem is their launchpad, which got started in and around 2021, and that is what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start with the tiered system. That is always the first important investment aspect that we have to take into account. So we're going to start with the tiers, then we're going to move over to the projects, then we're going to look at all of the other aspects of this launchpad to determine if this is a good investment opportunity or not. So without further ado, we're just going to go into it. As you can see over here on the account page, we can see the tiers. So I'm very happy that we can find it on the website. That is a very positive thing. A lot of launchpads nowadays don't do that. What we can also see is that the launchpad significantly reduced in price. It is comparatively much cheaper now. So we can see the token is currently worth 3 cents, making the first tier only $76. That is very cheap, as of course in the bull run, when the price was at its highest, we can see that one coin was over $2. So the bronze tier was worth more than $4,000 at one point, making it a very expensive launchpad. Now, of course, during the bear market, launchpads went down as there were less launches and thus less utility to the token. Regardless, Duckstarter in particular went very, very down in price. From being a quite expensive launchpad, went down to being basically a super cheap, low entry type of launchpad. Now, we can see even around here, the price was still respectively high at 40 cents, but it just kept going down. So as we can see now, for just $70, you can participate in the first tier. Now, it goes up all the way to champion, which is, as I see it correctly, 100,000, although it's a little bit hard to read. This is 1,000. Yeah, so that's 100,000. So let's actually quickly calculate how expensive that is. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So you still pay $3,800 to participate in the most expensive tier. So you do have opportunities for both investors, both the smaller investors and the larger, let's call it whale investors. So that is good to see on one hand. However, of course, the people that entered during the bull run and literally paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this tier would have now been able to get it for just 3.8K, which of course is a massive bummer. Also, if you held so many DUCK tokens, now they're worth nothing. So even if you made huge returns with your allocation, because the token decreased in price so much, you could have easily just, you lost 100K. I mean, the value just dropped so much that there was nothing left of your investment after less than a year. So that is important to take note of. Now, of course, the bear market was a big aspect of this as well. Now, there's other tiers in between as well. We have silver, gold, and platinum, but we don't really have any information regarding what we will get for these tiers. So we don't know what our pool size will be, and we don't know if there's any other benefits related to the tier. I do know that the bar is fully responsive, so if I was to get more points and stake them, the bar would fill up. Okay, though, that's enough about the tiered system. Right now, we're going to get into very quickly how to participate, and then we're going to continue talking about if I think that this launchpad is worth it to begin with. So starting off, we can see here that you have to connect your wallet, and from then you should be good to go. You can move over to one of the exchange platforms. On CoinMarketCap, we can see that you can get yourself the tokens on both Uniswap and PancakeSwap. Now, moving over to one of those exchanges, you can very simply transfer yourself the tokens, and then as you connect your wallet, your tokens will be able to be accessed over here. Then, after you KYC'd your wallet, you will be able to stake your tokens, and just like that, your bar will fill up and your tier will be assigned to you. Once you've done that, you will be able to participate in the projects. So let's look at that first. Also, of course, there's an unstaking fee. So if you were to unstake your tokens early, you would actually have to pay a price for that. Also, the website, at least for me, appears to be quite slowly. So there is a bit of a delay. So that's worth noting down as well. So over here at the projects, we can see that there has been a lot of profits made overall with the projects, right? And that is very easy to get lost on, right? You see all of these projects doing very well, and the first thing people think is, oh, then it must be a good launchpad, but it goes much deeper than that. And I feel like, it's very easy to just put high returns on here. But as you can see, this was July 2021, March 2021, completely different market, right? And now I'm not saying these were not good returns. I mean, these were amazing returns, but let's face it, right? Different times. This was a bullish market, and nearly every launch did amazing. So yeah, as we see here, almost everything was done in 2021, and that was just a more bullish sentiment over there. Now, what we can see is that they have done some launches in 2022, and they surprisingly made very good returns as well. So it made me wonder, do they really have a track record of like 9 out of 10 projects making amazing gains? Well, apparently they do. And that is why there was so much hype surrounding Duckstarter. And don't get me wrong, my red flags are not with the projects. The projects look decent and they do bring in a lot of profits. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. In fact, it seems to be very good. Now, my red flags lie deeper within the company, and I will get to that in just a tiny little bit. As we can see, they have raised 66 projects. They've had more than 17,000 unique participants, and they raised more, or almost 3.5 million. Now, it's quite difficult to navigate to the current projects. As you can see, it's not here over at points. It's also not here at the past projects. So where is it, right? We're skipping around a little bit over here. Nothing. It's also not here at the account. I know it's here. Well, you guys, it's at the home page. It's not a red flag, but it was just kind of weird and difficult to find. Why put it at a home page? Just make a different page for it. Anyways, as you can see right now, they have only 1 upcoming project and 0 live projects, which is fine. It will start in 3 months, and it is gems. Now, we've actually covered gems on this channel quite a lot. As you can see here, if you click on the website, it does link you to the wrong site. It links you to this. The Twitter is correctly linked though. Now I am quite bullish on gems, right? As you can see, even Seedify is following them. I believe they're getting incubated or at least launched by Seedify as well. So gems is a great project. And again, right, projects on Duckstarter seem to be just amazing, right? Look at all of these returns. I can even show you guys ETHBox, right? ETHBox over here. It can actually not be found. Let's see, ETHBox. ETHBox is not listed. All right, so that's a hard time checking if that's actually real. We can check maybe another one, cash tag. There we go. So cash tag, but the market data is untracked. So it is difficult to really track down whether these stats are actually real. I am determined to find out though. So let's see, this is at 0.00009. Yeah, so the prices seem to be up to date. Let's see. So they say it is 205% up from the IDO. Oh, okay, we can also filter it. Interesting. Okay, so this is the all-time high since the IDO. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Now, you do have to understand that an all-time high since IDO doesn't mean that the project currently has 100% returns. What it means is that at the all-time high, the very, very peak, it made that return. Now, of course, depending on the vesting schedule, it very depends on that, whether the investors made profit. If there was 100% release at TGE, then yeah, sure, they made profits, right? But if there was not a 100% TGE, then, it's different. Let's look at one more project. Let's see, the Forge. They've done a lot of them, and a lot of them seem to not be listed. Oh, it's the Force. A lot of them seems to not be listed on CoinMarketCap, but that's right. Let's learn about the Force trade. Okay, nothing there. So people seem to be very bullish on this. My God, they're bullish. They're very bullish. Although there was just a massive drop from TGE right down. So, again, very interesting here. They say, hey, there was a 150% increase in the project. People made massive profits, but that was only at TGE. Now, let's see if the investors got anything at TGE. We'll have to quickly switch to the Binance Smart Chain network and then connect our wallet again. This is an old pool, data not available for now. Okay, so we don't have any of the data. Interesting. Let's see if no, we don't see any vesting schedules here either. So now what is the problem with this? Most of the times, of course, when you participate in a launch, what you're going to see is that you don't immediately get all of your tokens, right? Maybe you get a 10% at the TGE, but after that it's linear vesting. And with the price immediately dropping like this, it's hard for me to see how people coming from the Duckstarter Launchpad actually made profits. But they do portray on the website like big profits had been made. So again, that is important to look at and to really understand, right? Don't get fooled too easily by these big numbers. Now, again, overall, there were still good returns. Just keep it in mind. Now, this next one seems to be a lottery. So that's also important to keep in mind. They don't always have full guaranteed allocations. They also do use the lottery system. Okay, so that is just about it on the website regarding Duckstarter. Now let's get into the real red flags that I wanted to talk about with you guys. Right now we have the basics. We know what Duckstarter is. We know how to participate, the tier system, etc. Now we can talk about DuckDAO. Now, DuckDAO is responsible for Duckstarter, and they have a very crappy white paper. They have a very sketchy team, and Duckstarter has no tokenomics or white paper released. That's right. If you Google it, you will not be able to find it. It is not linked on their website either, and it is not linked in CoinMarketCap either. So where's the tokenomics? Where's the white paper at? Those are some big, important steps that they just seem to be missing. Did they just forget it? Very, very curious looking. So let's dive a little bit deeper into DuckDAO. DuckDAO, like I said, is an incubator project that helps companies thrive and start on the blockchain. Who are our ducks? The duck community is different from anything the financial world has seen before. Our ducks are proud to commit to long-term success. So long-term opportunities, buzzmakers, worldwide networkers, and stuff like that. Now they do have a big portfolio with a lot of interesting partners over here. Now again, I have to reiterate back to the white paper. As we can see, the white paper doesn't have anything reasonable on here. It is a, let's say, 5-page long white paper with basically nothing meaningful on it. And we don't have a white paper either for the pad. So we can quickly go over it, see what they did put in here. A quick tutorial on how to get the token. Of course, completely useless. It's not something you usually put in a white paper. They do have a pre-sale vesting schedule with a bit of tokenomics. But then again, you can just see that this has been put in Excel and they just made a quick screenshot of it. So again, this is the type of stuff in a bull run is no problem, but here in the bear market, you just see these gaps, right? And you can analyze them, and you can easily see that they just put zero effort into this, right? Here they just put a link to Uniswap. Yeah, I mean, again, it's straightforward, but again, usually you don't put in a white paper how to buy the token. That should be on the website. That should be clear as day. You shouldn't have to put it in the white paper. Over here, again, they go on about how to get the DDIM. How to become VIP or VIP. And then they have a tiny little section about as a project, just saying that you can get a spot on their platform. They talk about the group structure, the Duck community, blah, blah, blah. Again, not very interesting. Moving on again about the VIP status, what you will get for that subscription, etc. Here they do have a tokenomics, but it's very basic. They didn't put any percentages down, only the numbers. So that is also, not a good thing whatsoever. Why? Of course, well, percentages are important. It is very difficult for investors to really look at this and have a clear idea on, how much went into the pre-sale. We can do our math, but you don't want to have to do the math. We know that the team has the percentages, but they're not sharing the percentages with us. And that's just unfortunate. And there's not really a reason to do that either, unless you don't want people to dive into your percentages and find out exactly what type of percentages there are. So anyways, we have the treasury, the Uniswap. Why are there tokens reserved for Uniswap? I don't know. Pre-sale, airdrop, and then reserve. We don't see any tokenomics for the team. We don't see anything for liquidity, right? So again, just a very sketchy, weird looking tokenomics. Here they talk about their reserve. 500 tokens are locked away in reserve and can only be unlocked through the voting power of all stars. Again, just very fluff, not very interesting. And that's the end. We don't have a roadmap. We don't have team. The tokenomics are very weak. The white paper is super short, and most of the value in the white paper is just talking about how to get the token, but that should be on the website, but is not on the website. Well, it is, but just over here. Okay, it is on the website, but then why put it on the white paper as well, right? Now, fair enough, they say all of these in their portfolio, but this is portfolio, right? These are not partners per se. Portfolio, what does that mean? It can mean anything, right? Most likely it's referring to the people that they worked with. So let's look at that. What companies did they work with? I'm not seeing any big tier 1 companies that they incubated or that they worked with. Of course, we are seeing 5Fire, which is quite a big one. But then again, we're not exactly sure what their relation with 5Fire really is. We do see PlaysApp, which is definitely not tier 1, but it is quite an interesting project. So it's not like they only worked with garbage projects. Absolutely not. And they definitely did work with a lot of projects. We also see their actual partnerships. Here, I also don't see any very big names per se. What is it? Vietnam blockchain community. Yeah. And that's just a Telegram group. So, and then here we see the exchange partners, Qcoin, Gate.io, and that's about all for the interesting, important exchanges. And we see here Late Token and ACDX, exchanges that aren't very relevant. So those are really my main concerns, right? Duckstarter does not have a white paper nor a tokenomics. DuckDAO is just very sketchy in and of itself, right? We were not seeing anything meaningful coming from their white paper. Their partners are quite tier 2, tier 3-ish, and the website is super basic. And yes, they thrived during the bull run, but what are they doing now? They have one upcoming project in 3 months, and that is it. And the token has absolutely gone to smithereens. Look at this. It is worth nothing anymore. The sentiment on CoinMarketCap seems to be very bearish. People saying, open your eyes, it's a scam. DAO is a rubbish launchpad. Do not buy this token. You will never get an allocation. So the community sentiment is weak. The umbrella company is sketchy. But what my main red flag, of course, is that we don't have a team. We don't know who is behind this project. And, people who bought an allocation 1 year ago had to spend hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars. And now you can get the same thing for just a couple thousand. So anyways, there's still a couple more things that we have to look at, but it's definitely going to be quite a short video because there's very little information regarding this company. So obviously starting with my last bits of information would be the BSC scan and the ETH scan, followed up by the team, because I did manage to trace down the team on LinkedIn, and then we'll take a quick look at social media, see what other social sentiments they have. So the BSC scan, as we can see, 3,000 addresses are holding the token, which is not a lot. Transfers are also quite small. On ETH scan, we can see almost 4,000 holders with about 166,000 transfers. Now, as far as the holders go, nothing really interesting here. We can see that almost the entirety of the token is held by one wallet. Now, clearly this is not an investor. This is probably the developer's wallet. We can see more than $3.5 million, which is, well, about 99% of the entire supply held by just one wallet. Over on ETHScan, we can see a bit of a different pattern, but also here, a big majority of the tokens are held by contracts. All of this together is easily upwards to 60% before we can see independent wallets. But also here, there's DuckDAO Bridge, other contracts also holding tens of thousands of dollars worth of tokens. Another contract over here. And the same here on BSC scan. The top 4 is all just contracts holding a massive chunk of the token. So when we look at the holders, we are mostly looking at very, very, very tiny investors. I mean, we're not even in look, we're already down from the top 10, and immediately we can see the investors only holding a couple hundred, and here only holding a couple dozen. Over on ETHScan, it's a bit bigger. We can see some people holding, a couple of thousands of tokens, but also here, past the 100, we can already see people only holding very small amounts. So what does that mean? Well, I mean, for starters, it means that most people only take the smallest tier. And what it also means is that people clearly are not trusting this launchpad enough to put a lot of money in, or they only have very small, lower tier investors that participate in Duckstarter. Now, again, they don't even have that many holders to begin with, so it is all looking very sketchy. Now, again, looking back at the projects, we can see such well-performing projects, which make it hard to believe and hard to realize that there's so many red flags. Now, again, I blame most of this on the bear market. You don't need to have a good structure or a good launchpad to go absolutely crazy on returns in the bear market. And of course, keep in mind that this is all-time high, meaning, yes, these are big returns, but it all depends whether it was released at TGE or not, right? We see here, yeah, this was the price, but, there's no information whether or not there was TGE release or not. So those are all important things to take into account. Moving on though to the team. And the team, unfortunately, I don't have that many positive things to say about either. They were difficult to find. They were not doxed on their white paper or their website, neither for Duckstarter or for DuckDAO. We were able to find them eventually over on LinkedIn. What we can see here is Zoran Sprivonovsky. He is Chief Marketing Officer, so that is the CMO. We can see that he has listed DuckDAO, as you can see here, and he does have a lot of experience, but we don't see him doxed, right? He does not have a profile picture. Now, we do see one of their advisors doxed, but again, he's just an advisor, and he's been working at DuckDAO since 2018, which is interesting considering they did not start their Twitter until 2020 August. So, does that mean that DuckDAO already existed in 2018 and already had advisors, but didn't make a Twitter until late 2020? That is a bit weird. And definitely hard to believe. Regardless, though, he does have a university degree and a lot of experience as an advisor. The times, however, do not add up. So that is an interesting thing that I noticed. We do have other people on the team listed as well. Here we see something working from Kiev, which I find also, considering the circumstances, difficult. He does have some experience as a front-end developer, but not a lot. He has DuckDAO listed in his experience, but he says that he worked there since 2021, so definitely not from the beginning. But again, this is all that we have. We also have a community manager here, but we don't have a CEO, and half the team is not doxed. We only have one advisor, but apparently he's been working with the company since 2018, but the Twitter wasn't opened until 2020, which is very, very weird. That's a 2-year difference. Over here at the wallets, we can see that the vast majority of tokens are held by just one wallet. And the holders that this Launchpad has are very, very small holders. Now, why exactly that is, we don't know, but mostly the reasons can't be very positive. Now, as for the projects themselves, they did make a lot of returns, but most of these projects made returns during the bull market, and many of these returns have been done primarily at TGE, and after that, the price plummeted. I do have to give them some credit. They're very transparent. They do note down when they made losses. I've never seen a Launchpad do that before, so I have to give them some credit for that. But overall, they do have a medium, but then again, look at this. This is from January 5. This is all from 2021. So is there anything? This is April 19. Right, so they do post, but like once a year almost, and most of their posts are just very, very old. They only have 2.2 thousand followers over on their medium, and all they do was just talk about their new launches. I didn't find any tutorials or updates, nothing about the team. And over on the Twitter, we can also see very slow activity. We see some retweets, but that takes literally 3 seconds. The retweets aren't even that relevant, in my opinion. We keep scrolling down, but it's hard to find any tweet that they made themselves. Last one was in August 8th, a couple days ago though. Another chance to win, thanks to Void, the opportunity, and then they retweet something else out. So I'm not seeing many designs or updates or anything like that. They do some polls here and there, but again, only 50 votes. Very, very slow community engagement over there. So overall, their projects are doing well. They're very transparent, and it's very cheap to get into this Launchpad right now. But if we have to be very critical, there are just way too many red flags regarding both DuckDAO and Duckstarter. And all of these other tutorials and reviews on YouTube are not covering these red flags, which I think is a shame. Unfortunately, this is literally all that we can look up on Duckstarter. I mean, we can dive further into DuckDAO, but even there just isn't a lot to go over. Projects can here request to get incubated, and here is a link to the exchange where you can buy your Duck tokens. And that is it, right? There was no white paper regarding Duckstarter, no light paper, no tokenomics, and overall just a very bearish sentiment over on CoinMarketCap. So for me personally, it's hard to recommend this launchpad to anyone. I mean, if I cannot make a review longer than 30 minutes, then it usually means that there's not enough information, which already, at least for me, disqualifies a launchpad for being interesting. Regardless though, you guys, that was all for today. Unfortunately, there's no additional information to be recovered about this project, so I really hope you enjoyed, and please make sure to tune in for the next ones as well. Without further ado, thanks so much for joining. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.